anybody watching this in 2034 is gonna be like, dang, that dude was right. It was the BDC game, so much is gonna be so different. And when that time comes, man, I want to be cheering some more of my kids, my grandkids on, and just having a blast and keeping up with people like Shasta and Jess. Like, what y'all doing? You remember in 2024 what we did?
Hi, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Chicks in Charge Automotive Edition. I'm Jess.
I'm Shasta.
And we have a wonderful guest for you today. Most of you have already heard of him. He is very well known in this industry. He is a top trainer and CEO of Cage Automotive. We have Durran Cage with us today. Welcome, Durran.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you all so much. That was a power greeting, but I'm excited to meet you all and be on here. Be on the show, and excited to see you all here in a few weeks.
Yes. We're so excited. So for those that are listening that don't know, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what solutions you bring to the industry.
Yeah, I'm somebody that just used to be a rapper, and I like selling. Just joking.
I was about to say, if that's true, I've never heard that before.
I didn't hear that one.
I did, actually, when I was in high school. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and my best friend's dad owned a dealership, and I fell in love with the car business when I was 17 years old. And I ended up joining Chrysler, who's now called Stellantis. Don't judge me for that. Back in 2007, 2008. And then a passion for digital in 2008 came in strong. That's like when Google and social media. And so I was telling dealerships like, hey, you need to build a BDC department. You need to handle this. And one dealer was like, put your money where your mouth is. And that was in Jackson, Tennessee. So I did that for 8 years as a BDC manager, then as a GSM, then joined Cox Automotive for a couple of years and started my business in 2018 that really focuses on helping dealerships around, number one, like their CRM efficiency, like setting up their CRM for success, which I know you all really know about. And then their sales process. And really, I don't say sales, I would say experience. So I speak a lot about video and how to beat the objection before the objection can even come. And then the last part is just branding. Like I like to help dealerships brand and salespeople create a personal brand because that's what's helped me. And everything that I teach was so cool that I love is that everything that I teach, I still do for my own business. It's like I still do videos for my own business. I use AI for my own business. I use my CRM. So when I'm talking to people, it's always so natural because there's nothing I'm telling them that I don't do myself.
Yeah, you're truly tried and true.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So you are going to be at By Appointment Only in Homedale, New Jersey on August 6th, correct?
Yes. Super
and you are speaking. So that's super awesome. We're excited to see you. Shasta and I will be there too. We're actually covering the event and we're super excited to meet all of the people that we haven't yet to meet. And then, of course, all of our old friends that we've met before as well. What are you speaking on at the event?
I will be speaking about AI, CRM, and video best practices that we can use, but not so much what I'm going to teach about is what kind of AI tool we can use for our customers to help creating. It's going to be more about internally, what can we do knowing about the power of video? Like what strategies can we implement internally, even in our training process, like how we communicate to each other, how we uplift another person using video. And then using AI, like as a BDC manager, most managers and sales managers are overwhelmed. Like, and they're not, no disrespect to an owner, they're not getting more pay and having more responsibilities. So what I teach is like, okay, use AI to help with a lot of your reporting. So when you're measuring trends and analysis, you can literally take Excel spreadsheets. And I'm going to show people how you can take certain data points from your CRM and get an analysis right from your AI. You can go to ChatGPT and use it that way. So I'm okay with, AI as an outreach, but I feel like we still haven't maxed out internally how we can use it to make us more efficient with our jobs, right? And so
that's really what we need.
What's that? Yeah, and the CRM, we'll talk about that too. Just about how to optimize your CRM, how we can rebrand it, just some strategies that I've seen this year that have been effective. So my whole goal with the presentation is just to show as much as I can and not tell as much. Like that's my goal is if I can just show things, I feel like it will help people, because that's what I told Anthony and Robin. I was like, my whole goal is I just want people to leave knowing that they have at least one nugget that they can take from it. Because I felt like that's what made the event so great the last time. It's like, dude, I was even in there. I was like,
right.
taking notes, and I was like, dude, this is so freaking good. And so I'm really geeked and excited to level up even my skills while I'm there.
Yeah, that was something I took away too. I had pages and pages of notes on what to do better, and that's even as someone who runs an outsourced BDC, not even in a dealership. And myself with 10 years of experience doing this, so I had so much to take away. So no matter what level you are in the industry, I think that there's I would say at least 5 things you're going to get from this event. Not just one thing, but there's at least 5. A question I have for you that has been kind of on my mind lately. We have a lot of industry experts, a lot of trainers, and notice if you can't see this, I'm making quotes with my hands. Out there, they're all preaching different methods, and they all claim to be the best. They all claim to be, tried and true. And from things that I've tried and things that I've heard them preaching, I've got to know, how do we truly know? How does, somebody who's running a BDC trying to figure out how to be better, how do they know who to go with and who, how efficient their processes are?
Man, that's such a great question. So when I do social media, I have like this little kind of like content diary that is on there, and I have still not done, because I want to do a presentation on it. Like, it was going to be titled like, who is the best trainer? Am I the best trainer? And the truth is, I have to be very careful with my words here, because I don't want to offend another friend that I know that does that. But my personal opinion, then I'll say, is that if I'm a BDC manager looking for somebody to help me get to the next level, you have to look at multiple things about that person and look at, like, does it fit into the culture and where you're trying to go? Because you can see a lot either through social media, or if that person is not on social, just have conversations with them. What I would say. Like, if I'm doing it now, I would want to talk to at least 3 or 4 consultants, coaches, best trainers out there, and understand, like, okay, past training, what makes you so great? Like, what is it that really connects with people? Because that last word, connect, to me is the most important part, because all a consultant or trainer does is they just give you the fire, right? And then you internally, you have to keep that fire going, because if it's a trainer that's wearing you out every single day, telling you what you got to do, that's not a trainer. That's a micromanager that's at the dealership. But a trainer or a coach is somebody who's helping you, guiding you, mentoring you along that way. And so that's who I would pick, is just somebody who I either gel with, or maybe I don't gel with, but I want to get to that point where I can, because I know that they can get me to where I'm trying to go. But to me, you can look at track history, but the problem with looking at track history of how a store performs, like, yeah, I have some stores, like, there's a store I'm going to post about that's like #1 in the state of Tennessee and #5 in the country. But can I, as a consultant or trainer, say that? No, because it's the leadership that's executing the plan. Because I can have one store that buys into this whole cage thing and does the CRM and experience, but I have another one that will tell me that, bro, you suck. This program's not working. And what's the difference? The difference is implementation of it, because I would say most consultants and trainers, you probably can implement their system and you will do okay. You'll do good, because you now have a system.
Yeah. Right.
You see what I mean? That's where most people win.
Right there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like losing weight from a coach, right? You can pick a lot of weight loss trainers, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a system, and then you internally have to apply that system and do it. No different. If I work with you all with the store, I guarantee you there's levels of communication in the system that if we do this the right way, it's limitless what can be done. And it could be something different for another company, but they have their own thing that says, hey, if you do it this way, we are going to win. And so when the store buys in and believes that, I feel like that's when most trainers and consultants will win. I don't know personally of anyone that's like terrible or bad that's out there. But for the most part, I think that if you picked most of the people that are in the industry and you believe in their process and stick to their system, it should work. And if it doesn't, then that person needs to come in, or either they need to show you easily why you're off target. Didn't mean to go off like on a hard horse there, but that
No,
was such a good question. You should have gave me that one ahead of time or some
really,
prep.
it starts at the top down. So if you don't have the investment from the leadership at the top, it's not going to go anywhere. Nobody's going to implement it in the store.
Right.
So
That's it.
100%. Yeah, we have to have that buy-in from everybody. I mean, not even just the managers, but the salespeople too. If they're working against the BDC, then I mean, we're not going to be successful anyways.
Yeah, that call is like, who'd you talk to? Oh man, that's just those people. Boom. But it won't work. That's like AI too. If there's an AI company that came to, oh, that's just that robot. Done. So
Then you're just sacrificing the reputation of the dealership.
there you go. And yourself,
Yeah. 100%.
So Durran, you're a very successful man in this industry. And so my question to you now is, you are now the trainer, but how did you become the trainer? Did you learn all of this stuff on your own, or did somebody initially invest in you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, there's at least 10 people watching this that would say they're responsible for my success, right? I think we all have those people. So it's a combination of so much. I mean, people that I hadn't even met. I never got to meet Zig Ziglar, but Secrets of Closing the Sale was one of the first books that I read religiously because the owner that I worked for, Alan Vines, that's the book that he read. And then the gentleman I spoke to yesterday was Ken Zangara, and he's the owner and he's my best friend's dad who got me in the car business to begin with. And he was giving me some game yesterday about business. You see, so but he's never once taken credit, and neither has Alan Vines. Those two people right there should have more say so and be like, man, I know that guy. And they've never said a word. But there's a lot of other people that I've learned from or even seen, and they will take as much credit as they possibly can. But that's okay. I think mentorship and working with different people is so important. But I think reading and listening to Audible and attending events like what we're going to, oh my gosh. Like I told the story at, I think it was a SotoCon recently where I went to Dealer Synergy. It was like an internet sales 20 grand thing back in the day. I know Anthony's been like, dude, but the point of this was that what made that a good event that's going to make this one similar was what I met with Subi outside. So Subi, if anybody knows, she's with is it Digital Airstrike? She was Stream. Oh my gosh, Subi, I apologize. But when I met with her, she was like, hey, she was very young. Both of us were young. And she said, hey, here's something that I'm doing that works really well. She said, I went to my local colleges and I got internships. I wrote up an internship and I got 4 people to come work an internship, and they built websites, CRM, and they helped me with my marketing for free.
Wow.
So what did I do? As soon as I left, I came back and I wrote a letter to every university that's in Jackson, Tennessee. And I ended up getting one kid. His name was Tyler Stevens, right? And he actually ended up just showing up. Not only did he was some little kid, he ends up being the assistant internet director, then becomes an internet director, which allows me to now become a general sales manager. And now he's over in Texas running a store. Do you see how like, that conversation, one conversation that I had with Subi changed the whole paradigm?
It's a butterfly effect.
It's funny how that happens with Subi.
And that's what's going to happen. It's going to happen at by appointment only. Like somebody's going to have a conversation there with somebody outside of that meeting, or they're going to hear something that somebody says. It's going to change their whole paradigm for the rest of their life because they took something and they applied it and went home and did it. So that's what I would say. Attending events, learning, reading as much as you can, podcast, stuff like this is all the things that really help me. And then having a good mentor, like I had a mentor, or I still have a mentor, I would say, Corey Mosley. My father is no longer with me. Alan Vines, for sure, I could call up on him, but having some mentors that can hold you accountable and get you to the next place. And they could be right there at your dealership. If you're a BDC manager, mine was my GSM and GM and owner. And man, they grew me every single day. Those are the ones that you really want to rely on. It's somebody that's not just once a week or once a month or once a year. It's somebody who can really invest into you daily if possible.
Right. Well, and I think especially as we've gone through the changes that we've gone through, I would say over the past 6 to 12 months as an industry, you've got to have somebody who's in the thick of it with you. and understanding the changes that we're seeing. And you can't just say, man, that there's something different about these customers. Like, customers are customers. No, they're not. There's an absolute difference from how we did business a year ago to how we do business now. And then let's go even further back, 2 years ago. And so we're constantly in the BDC having to relearn our jobs. I mean, anybody in the dealership, really. I mean, comparatively over the last several years. And so having somebody that you can count on, that you can express those frustrations to, and will help you come up with a solution instead of just bitching with you.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, because you need that outlet too. And I was just telling the lady that I'm, the team that I'm serving right now, I was telling her, I said, you have to have some kind of outlet or that mentor, because it can get very lonely. You've heard it. It could get so lonely at the top because you're going to a place that most people don't even really want to go at this point. Like you've reached the point like, I'm good. I made it here. I'm comfortable. When you go to this level, now it's like, who do you talk to? Sometimes you get anxiety from that, depression, like it's tough. And so having that person that can consistently be there for you, that's like a level up, or they don't even have to be a level up, but they could be somebody that's a level set, like that can listen to you and sees not you for who you are, but sees you for who who you're going to be in the future. That's really what you want.
We have a saying around here: bitch up, coach down. Yep. If you're going to bitch, you got to bitch up somebody higher than you or next to you.
Oh my gosh. I like that though. It makes sense.
It works. You don't want to go bitch into the people below you and then be like, oh my God, if they're that stressed out, should I be worried? Like, what's going on in here?
Right.
Yeah. And that creates a toxic culture. Because there's a gentleman that I work for, and he said, remember, never gripe down, always gripe up. He said, that's what I'm here for. He said, but the moment that you complain like that and you tell your team what you don't like about the owner, the dealership, he said, you've lost all credibility. Nobody cares about you. And I still did. And I got to witness that, where because you make the switch, what happens is when you play that side where you write down and you make the switch to being like a responsible leader, now you look like a hypocrite. Because now you're all gung-ho for the company and you're doing all this stuff. And now the team's like, man, weren't you just complaining about the hours here? Didn't you just say that it's, you see? And so, yeah, that's really great nuggets right there. It's good.
What would you say is the number one thing that you see missing from processes from dealerships you work with? Like whether it's CRM process, BDC process, follow-up process, what are we missing as an industry?
Whew.
That was a lot. I'm sorry.
No. I'm always careful what I say, and then I end up just letting it out anyway. So I'm going to go off based on what I've observed. And a lot of the clients that I've taken on recently have been much more around leadership coaching and development to understanding what it is that we do in those BDC departments and understanding the flow of a customer and how to talk to them at a sales manager and GSM level than it has been around getting with BDC managers as much anymore. And I'm seeing more BDC managers move into like a sales manager position, just because when you look at dealerships and you look at the funnel, and it's why, I'm sure y'all are in business and why I'm in business, it's this gap. And I'll talk about it a lot. The gap in the industry is between when a customer is engaging with us online, never mind the whole internet response time. That was 90s and early 2000s. Now, it's when we get engagement to when the customer comes in and shows up and buys the car. That gap right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the biggest opportunity in our industry, because we're past the stop clock thing. Now it's like customers are asking serious questions. And if the sales team is not equipped, or the BDC team is not empowered, or they don't have like a team like yours that really knows how to handle all those situations, a leader needs to understand where to find those opportunities and how to easily get in the game and work with those customers no different than they would on a showroom floor doing like an early invention TO. Because 20 to 30 years ago, it was so common for a customer to walk on the lot and for a manager to come up to me and say, hey, Durran, who's that? And I say, hey, that's Bobby. You want to meet him? Yeah. Hey, this is David. And they're doing that upfront TO. But to get most leaders in 2024 to do that with an internet customer is very challenging because the sense of entitlement sometimes seeps in, because when they came in the business 20 years ago, internet leads were thought of as a joke. But now the internet customer normally makes up 60 to 70% of the opportunities within a dealership.
Mm-hmm.
So dedicated leaders, and even if it's not a dedicated leader, I'm saying if a BDC manager is over a team and he or she is overseeing that, the sales managers still have to buy into that and still help look at those customers the same way they look at lot traffic, because one leader and a team of 4 or 5 people going through 800 people still is not enough eyeballs to identify every single opportunity. But the stores that have leaders that like are actively texting customers, sending them a video, calling them and just saying, hey, I didn't need anything. I just wanted to say I'm here to help you get to the next step because I noticed you had a question about lease. What is that? That's where it's like it creates this synchrony of then this harmony with the sales team, and you brought every experience and you're treating them all the same. So I would say the more that leaders get involved and they buy into it, because I'm not saying all leaders don't. There's some great sales managers out there that are already doing this, and they're mad that I'm even sharing it like this because they know the biggest secret is when a sales manager gets involved with that online experience process, not as an automation, but is intentional. And then when they have our save a deal meetings, I call them a save an experience meeting. Every day, those opportunities need to be reviewed at a very high level. And we should be looking at it saying, would I buy a car from us if I got that text, if I got that email, if I got that call? Would I buy? And a lot of times I'll hear sales managers say, absolutely not. And I'm saying, then what are we going to do about it? Let's coach them up. Let's do this thing because this is your show. We can't treat it like a silo and say that outside BDC is doing that, or that sales manager, or that's that BDC team inside. No, if you have an issue as a sales manager, coach them up. Tell them what you want to see, and it fixes the problem. Instead, sometimes we just gripe and we create silos within a dealership and complain about, we don't even have enough appointments. What are you doing about it? What are you coaching on?
Yeah.
You know, so then
you can schedule an appointment too.
Yeah, you know what I'm getting at.
Yep.
We've all been there.
Right.
Well, we can definitely feel your passion and we see your hustle all the time, but what is your why? What keeps you going every day? What makes you get out of bed every morning to do this all over again?
Oh man, that's easy. It's just it's time. You know, time moves me because the goal is to move at a place where I'm able to create the time to slow down and really pour into myself, like really catch up and be the best version of myself, because I know I'm not there yet. And then my wife, who is the leader, the co-founder, and the driving force behind the brand, all this, the t-shirt, dude, you know how uncomfortable it is to wear a t-shirt, y'all. Anybody knows me, I was a shirt and tie dude. She's the one that's like, ditch the tie, bro. Like, it's done. Like, for real? She's like, let your hair grow. It's okay. I was like, are you sure? Really? She's like, but my wife is a big part of my why, my children, my 4 kids, and we want more. But my kids,
that's
like,
a lot of kids, bro. Oh my God.
no, you know, and
Two.
like, even right now, like for real, like right now, as we're recording this, 2 of my sons are in a camp, you know, 20 minutes away from me. Another one's at a high school. I wanted to be there. You know what I mean? But I'm here not because I have to. I'm here because I love these people so much and I want to give them everything that I can. But I do look forward to getting to the place where I am driving force of just myself, my wife, my family, and then whatever else comes, because I feel like that's the natural order life was always supposed to be. And what happened is I've been grinding probably since I was a paper boy at 9 years old. So I don't want to be that guy that's like, you know, the people that are like, nah, I'm doing this till I'm 65 or 70. Rah, I'm grind. I don't want to grind no more. You know what I mean? Like, because the grind from 9 years old to when I was in a dealership at 17, and you know, you all know what it's like working at a dealership in the early 2000s and 2010s. You know, and I did 6 days a week for years grinding. And so I don't want people even now that get into the car business to do a life like that. I cannot stand when a sales manager is like, you need to put in 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I'm like, no way. No way. You got AI, you got a freaking CRM, you got all these tools. And we didn't even talk on social media. Don't do that. Create a life of balance because at the end of the day, one day we're all not going to be here, or we're not even going to be selling cars the way that we are now. We know this game is going to be completely different a decade from now. Anybody watching this in 2034 is going to be like, dang, that dude was right. It was the BDC game. So much is going to be so different. And when that time comes, man, I want to be cheering some more of my kids, my grandkids on, and just having a blast and keeping up with people like Shasta and Jess. Like, what y'all doing? You remember in 2024 what we did? But that's my why. That's what moves me. It's just, family, faith, love, all that stuff, and connecting with people like yourself, because connections go so far, even outside the automotive industry.
We hear and say all the time that your network is your net worth, and we live by that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you mentioned earlier, reading is a big part of your life. It's what you've done since you were young. If there was one book that you could recommend to someone that was just coming into the industry, what would it be?
I like that we keep putting you on the spot.
I know. Think of that 18-year-old kid walking into a car dealership.
Man, I still I'm still thankful for being introduced to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because it made me learn how to hold myself accountable. And I would say, I'm not going to tell anybody that you need to read that book, but I would say find a book if you get into this business, and get a book that's around self-accountability, that teaches you personal development and self-accountability and goals. And then the other side of it, if I could split it, would be marketing. Like I feel that if you're going to get into the business today, if I was speaking to myself at 18 years old, I feel you need to be an expert marketer and communicator, like professional speaking type stuff, or public speaking, excuse me. Those would be the skill set of books that I would look for. It's really unfair for me to just give one book, but you did put me on the spot, because I couldn't, because the book I was going to say, it doesn't align, because the book that really helped me a lot was 10X. I'll be real. 10X was huge for me with Grant Cardone, but I feel like it made me a madman. Like I went nuts. I was, and I don't want to teach that to, I don't want to teach that to people. I want to teach people more of a holistic view of looking at business, to where, how can I get myself to work for me when I'm not even working? How can I create content that works for me when I'm not even working? That's how I want the next gen I want them to be lazy as snot. Yeah, I said it. I want them to, but I want them to be effective with their laziness. Like, let the laziness drive you to create a situation where you can sell. Yes, you said it. Where's our t-shirts?
Right. Yep. That's the next lineup, and the chicks in charge come through and work smarter, not harder.
What book do y'all read? No, I'm throwing it right back. What book would y'all recommend? Because that was too good. I got to hear what y'all say.
I have a go-to every time for anybody in a team setting, and really everybody, whether they work from home or whatever, they're in a team setting, whether their family, their friends, and that's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, because the most important thing in there is it teaches you how to respect healthy conflict.
Yep.
And so often we have people leaving the car business because they don't understand how to have conflict in a healthy way, or they don't know how to communicate or tell people their problems. Oh, well, it wasn't your problem, so why should I tell you?
Right.
We can't solve this if we don't work on this together. So
we've probably gone through that book 5 times with our team.
Would you say the same, Jess?
Oh, for sure, without a doubt.
Oh, okay. I will.
And definitely anybody, and I think it's a little bit of twofold. I think that anybody starting out in business in general needs to read Traction. That's a really good one. But we live and breathe by 5 Dysfunctions of a Team around here.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you that helps even outside of teams, and probably personal as well, because it sounds like it. Just that word,
So, give me one piece of advice for somebody up and coming in this industry.
My advice to you would be either hot or cold. I say this a lot. Either when you get in, go all in terms of not on your time. Like I'm saying go all in terms of look for every edge to make yourself better. Like you just heard us talk about books. If you just got in and you didn't do what I just did, which was hurry up and type the notes so I can get on and buy them real quick, then that's a problem. That means you might be cold. And if you're cold, actually, it's really worse if you're warm. Like if you're lukewarm, or cold, I would get out right now, because it can be so frustrating and tiring because you will catch yourself thinking that you're doing so much, but you're really not. Get invested in this thing if you really want to be successful. Now, if you're just looking at it just as to get you to the next place, then you can be lukewarm and do okay. But if you really want to get to that next level and make something great, I would say be hot with this thing. Stay learning, get those books, get a great mentor, follow some great people on social media and connect with them. A lot of good consultants and trainers will at least hit you back. Like for the most part, I do a deep, I would say a good job. If somebody hits me back and asks me a question, I'll send them a video. I'll say what's up to them, because I don't know if y'all notice this, like in our industry, it's like so much like there's not near as much hatred in terms of like if you wanted to get some nuggets from other people, like, and so I think it's really cool. So it's a unique time to be in the business. If somebody gets in, knowing that you can get to a lot of different people with the answers that you want and just have some fun with it. But just make sure if you're going to get in, be hot with it, because it is an interesting time. It's the best time in the world to me to be in the industry, because those that are intentional right now are winning.
For sure. Well, we can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. By the time this episode airs, we'll probably be within days of the event. We can't wait to see you there and hear what you have to share with everybody. What are the best ways for people to connect with you if they have questions for you?
Yeah, just right on any social media platform. So I would just go, you can find me on Facebook at Durran Cage with 2 R's, like Duran in the 80s. Yes, my family had fun with that. And or LinkedIn. I'm present on LinkedIn a lot, or you can go to you can just Google Durran Cage and you'll find me there on my website, or either there's another company that I co-founded with John Ellis called BEVEverything as well, and so you can find me there also. But I'm so thankful, you two, for your time. This is fun, man. Like
That was fun.
we could have gone for a minute.
BDC episodes are my favorite. Yep. I can go all day long on BDC.
Oh my gosh, these were some good questions. I don't think anybody's hit me like this before, where I'm like, oh my gosh, did they just say that? Like, so that was
I want to touch on the social media and branding when we meet in New Jersey. So we're going to snag you for another 20-30 minutes there. And I really want to dive into your social media and branding aspect for sure.
Absolutely. I would love
to. Stay tuned for that.
Yes. All right, Durran. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. We know your time is valuable. So in a world where you can be anything, be kind, because you never know what battles others are facing. So whenever you go out into the world this week, remember to light it up. I'm Jess.
I'm Shasta.
And that's Durran. And we've been the Chicks in Charge. Thanks for tuning in. Yay, you've made it this far. And if you want to help the chicks out and add some value, make sure you subscribe right now.
Click that little red button down below. Do it. Do it now.